Well, mate, we have got some incredible games this weekend and another drama-filled weekend of Premier League action. Big game was Sunday. Spurs hosting Chelsea, two teams with ambitions to break into that top four, to get Champions League football and look beyond. It's funny, isn't it? Because I was sort of watching bits and pieces of this game. I was travelling today, so I didn't get the full picture, but got all the action and most of the storylines. And I kind of felt to myself, Rob, if you just said Spurs are going to go one team's going to go 2-0 up, they'll end up losing 4-3. It'll be a bit harem scam at times. They'll be in control sometimes, and then they'll lose control another. I would have said that's Tottenham. That's Angie's Tottenham for you. And right now they've run into arguably the informed team in the Premier League. Maybe Liverpool would have an argument in that, but kind of got what was possible out of this game, Rob. So the best of Chelsea, and maybe not the best of Spurs. And in some respects, I was looking at these two teams as teams with, probably similar ambitions about where they want to go, where they want to end up this season. And at the moment, Rob, based on what I saw today, Chelsea are going in one direction and Spurs, unfortunately, seem to be going in a slightly different one.
Yeah, this was a crazy game of football, Rob. I mean, it was. I watched it all the way through. I was at home. I could manage to watch all these games this weekend, and just a very crazy, chaotic game of football. I think when you first see the team sheet from Tottenham, when you see Christian Romero on it, Mickey van der Ven is back playing again, it's like, wow, they kind of kept it quiet that those two were available. They both started the game, Robbie Earle. Yeah. They didn't finish it. So part another still part of your story, Rob, when you say, well, they're 2-0 up, you kind of get a feel for it. Well, that's another part of the story, mate. The back four was the best back four, and then both players went off with little concerns whether they might have done something again. So did they rush them back? Which is something it's really, if they have put them back for further weeks, that's really poor as well from the football club. Really bad. But there was so much chaos in the game. I mean, it started from Chelsea, Rob. I mean, Spurs started brilliantly. And it was Marc Cucurella that flipping slipped twice. He slipped twice with his boots. Since then, he's put them in the bin that he posted on social media. To kind of gift Spurs the first two goals. Solanke makes a really good run, finishes it lovely on the right-hand side. Kulusevski then scores a very individual goal, Rob. He comes in with that left foot and scores 2-0 up. And you're like, this is kind of
good, isn't it?
This is good. But that's where, the obvious bit comes in after that. Chelsea were always in the game, mate. You know what they're like. They had a shaky start with Cucurella with his slipping around and stuff, and they got punished for that. But they again look slick, look dangerous. I think it was 2-1 going into half time. The guys in the studio said, you know what, I think Chelsea will win. I thought the same thing. There was two clumsy challenges, and it's very easy, Rob, right? And I can summarize this, about Spurs, and it's starting to get to me now a little bit, the way Spurs are going. I'm very pro.
But the gaps, the spaces in midfield, Rob, are incredible. At 2-0 up, the spaces in the game that Chelsea are up are incredible. Yeah,
and you add into that Yves Bissouma's reckless challenge to give a penalty away. Yeah. Perhaps Rob later in the game, towards in the second half, gives another penalty away. It's the one that Cole Palmer does a little Panenka. That's two really poor decisions, and there's somewhat of a chaos about Tottenham. There's a chaos about and desperation. There's a desperation about playing the players they want to play. There's a desperation about attacking and trying to score goals. There's a desperation in defending because there's so much last ditch, Rob. There's so much running back towards their own goal with the transitions and stuff. It has got to change. And I'll let you in a second, mate. I know that you felt this, and a lot of people have felt it for a long time. I was like, this is good. This is, from on the back of last year, the way that they play, attacking, style, it's a Spurs way. They're loving it. But I have said that there's got to be subtle tweaks and changes for Ange Postecoglou to find some balance here, because this gung-ho nature, another one of those games today, Rob, it's just not sustainable. And they're mid-table in the league table in the league right now. He's got to find a way to find some balance and blend, or this is going to run away.
We know, Rob, that isn't what he wants to do, is it? I mean, it's becoming a bit of a thing in press conferences where the journalists are asking him, you know, are you going to tweak? No, I'm the same man. This is what I'm going to do. And I said to you, Rob, it smacks slightly of arrogance. It smacks slightly of stupidity. You're 2-0 up, Rob, at home, playing good football. That should be a 4-1 day. That should be a 4-1 day if you're a good team. Good teams take care, make the best of the opportunity that Cucurella has slipped twice, and they go on and win 4-1. What happened today at 2-0 was I thought we saw the two characteristics of the two teams. Chelsea were relentless, were hungry, were after it, and still came back into game and believed in what they were doing. Cucurella, Rob, who's been had a bit of a rough time at Chelsea, could have gone under 2 slips today, and I know it was his boot and whatever.
Yeah.
Gets on top, gets good energy, gets back in the game, plays well. His teammates look like they want to, you know, get him out of a mess. It just feels like a Chelsea Football Club, Robin. And it was interesting as I was watching the game today. I said, in the space of, 13, 14 games into a season, Chelsea have become likeable. They've become likeable because of who they are and what they've come through. Whereas Spurs, Rob, at 2-0 up, can't control a game, can't control a match, can't manage a situation. And that's a problem in this league with the quality of players and the quality of coaching. It's going to be a problem. And if Ange isn't careful, I'm afraid it's going to cost him his job.
You know what? You know, I think, again, it's like evidence, isn't it? We're gaining evidence every single week. You're gaining evidence about what they're doing, what he's doing, what's changing, what's not changing. And, you know, the best teams, Rob, have periods where they just shut up shop a little bit. You said the game could have been 4-1. It could have been 2-0. They had the game won at 2-0. You know, they could have been much more defense. Now, I know that he's got his philosophy, and it's not as though you have to abandon your philosophy, but just a little bit of game management, Rob. It's more game management than philosophy. You know, we love it. Neutrals love watching Tottenham because they throw people forward. Again, it's like nobody else throws two fullbacks forward. Nobody builds up, Rob, and have 2 centre-backs back there. Yeah. Everybody, almost everybody now, it's at least 3 at the back that are insurance policies. You know, we've seen too much of it now, Rob, and that's why, you know, you keep getting evidence, you keep getting signs. Like now it's got to come home to Ange Postecoglou that this Premier League is not like Scottish Premier League. It's not like Australian national team. It's not like Japanese league. It's a very, very demanding, high quality, smart coaches league. Yeah. And, you know, he's got to find a way without having to boot the ball to manage these games better.
And the other thing, Robbie, is that, listen, we're Ange. We've been behind Ange. I think we've supported him many times when others haven't, and loved what he's done and how he's come into the league with a freshness. But at times, Rob, that, you know, you look at this league and you look at Spurs, and anybody who plays Spurs knows 100% exactly how they're going to play during the game. If you play Brighton, they come with a different thing. If you play Brentford, they've got different ways of playing. If you play Fulham, they've got different ways of playing. Spurs have one way of playing. If they're 2-0 up or 4-0 down, Spurs are going to do the same thing. And I think there's too many smart coaches out there who are saying, okay, you know, I think Cole Palmer summed it up brilliantly when he did the Panenka and for his penalty. He said the game was mad, the crowd were crazy, the goalkeeper's definitely going to die because everything's on fever pitch, and that's what Spurs are. Spurs are fever pitch. At their best, they're fever pitch.
Well, it's like desperation, Rob. Chaotic and desperation to like last stitch. These challenges that went in. They're to summarize, Rob, Tottenham are too easy to play against and to create chances against. Yeah. And we've seen it from day one, really. And I was of the thought mostly of, well, you know what? They fancy themselves going forward. They'll find ways to be a bit more efficient defensively, and then maybe they'll defend with the ball a lot better. When they got their 2 quick defenders back there, Van der Ven being the main one, they'll concede less goals, which they do. But it's such a they're so stretched, Rob. It's such a strain and stress on the team to defend. And when you're playing against this Chelsea team, Rob, that's going from strength to strength, you know, they fancied their chances.
Yeah, beautifully set up. You know, I was saying it's time to turn it to Chelsea because, you know, the demise of Spurs and the way they play and the lack of game management, this Chelsea team, Rob, have got a real energy, a bit of a drive about them, the way they go about the business. I say they're becoming likeable. The manager's now looking more comfortable in his seat. He's joking with the media. I mean, this kid Cole Palmer's incredible, mate. He's incredible. I was watching today. And I was trying to think, how can I describe? He's like young Einstein. He's like sits in the middle of the pitch and he's working out angles and passes and weights and space, and he tests teams in different ways and positions he finds in between the lines. Just another level of his numbers are incredible, and it has to go down a credit to the manager. These two instances, mate. Before I give you a chance to talk about Chelsea, because we definitely should talk about how good they are and what's been the change. Two challenges in the game, my friend, that both could have possibly have been red cards. The Caicedo challenge in midfield on Pat Sarr, where he goes. It looks relatively high. I think, in fairness, it doesn't look like there was a full force.
Collision. I'm okay with
it. But it was high. It was high enough that I think it deserved looking at, and it deserved the referee's possible look at and attention from VAR.
No, I thought I didn't think it was quite enough for a red. I think that's what came through from the commentators, wasn't it? Graham and John Champion would talk about they could hear the VAR conversations. I think was it? Not enough force, but it was certainly high. It was certainly reckless. And then the other one was the elbow, Rob, wasn't it?
The elbow.
Kulusevski
elbow, on Lavia, as he went through.
Yeah, now that for me.
I mean, if I'm seeing VAR, Rob, I'm thinking that's red.
Yeah,
the action after was like not good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no you don't run like that. Like you don't never need to run like that next to a player. So yeah, that was crazy from Kulusevski, and very lucky that because I thought that was a red card offence. If you read the rules out, if you deliberately strike somebody in the face or head, it's violent.
I mean,
conduct.
some are suggesting Caicedo didn't get a red, so maybe the referee didn't give a red, which isn't a way to referee at all. No. But yeah, I think we probably agree not quite enough force in Caicedo. Yeah. But something Caicedo has to be careful, Rob. Seen him do it once or twice now.
Yeah, he's very aggressive.
He's got to be a little bit careful and know when to, put his foot in. Sometimes just put a strong leg there and make your tackle, because he can ill afford to lose him. He's so important when he's playing at right back, where he wasn't his best. Put him in the central midfield too. That's what it was outstanding. But go on, let's just talking about Caicedo, Rob, and Lavia, right? Yeah, and a little bit earlier talking about Spurs attacking, great, very gung ho. Chelsea attack as well. Yeah,
but they've got Lavia and Caicedo in midfield, Rob. There's your balance. There's your blend. There's your soldiers to go with your artists. They got two aggressive players in there. By the way, Lavia, almost he came off, didn't he? Quite early.
First start, he came off at half time, didn't he?
Half time, they made a tactical change.
I think he's got a bit of a knock, they're saying, and they didn't want to pursue it, which is interesting with Spurs. They said with December coming, I just read that Maresca said he had a little bit of a strain and we didn't want to take a risk. There's a lot of big games coming.
Right. Yeah, there was a talk in the commentary that it was a tactical that came through. There was a tactical thing. But I mean, Lavia's really, really good. But that's the difference right there with those two players. I'll tell you what I noticed first of all, Rob. I looked at the lineup. He is doing what Pep Guardiola has done for City for years and years and years. He makes little changes every week. And I think I'm right in saying there's been no unchanged lineup for Chelsea Football Club.
He's been,
Neto was in on one side, wasn't it? And Jadon Sancho was in, scored a really good goal early on. The midfield's a little bit different again. He makes little changes. He keeps people on their toes. Madueke's had quite a few games. Absolutely, so what happens then? He puts somebody else in. He's always João Felix. He's always changed. So that I like that about it. I like that his squad is good enough to be able to do that with no drop off at all. And just generally, Chelsea have become, Rob, a very good team very quickly. With the Cucurella areas of slips earlier on, it still looks like a groove little machine, mate. And there will be hiccups and there will be times where their inexperience might cost them, but not in this game. And the way that they're going, they look like they're enjoying their football. They're young players. I've said it a million times. Everything it's happened, isn't it, with them? We didn't know how good this team could be. they're going to be better, but right now they're still very, very good. There's a lot of talent, Rob. They look super dangerous every time they get into the final third, whether it's Pedro Neto jinking his little runs, or it's Jadon Sancho, of course, Cole Palmer that's got. Yeah. I think the thing with Cole Palmer for me is his change of direction, his ability, and his awareness and his feet. He maneuvers the ball and changes direction so quickly.
Football intelligence, though, mate, of picking up spaces and hurting you. I would think, you're a defensive midfield player. Can you imagine him on your shoulder picking up little spaces?
Yeah, nightmare. You'd never get it. You wouldn't close him down because he's so good. He never gives the ball away. That's what's annoying when you put that sort of player. So he's absolutely running the show for Chelsea.
The other thing I took away, Rob, from Maresca at the performance and the team, and as you say, they've become a very good team very quickly. It's now a matter of can they continue to do that and keep the consistency. I saw somebody wrote today, which I thought was a nice line. There's a confidence without arrogance with this group of players. I think they all play. It's hard to think of anyone who's not playing particularly well. But it's not like a strut, and it's not like we've arrived. It all looks like this group of young players want something, still got something to prove to themselves, to the manager, to the group. The other thing for me, Rob, with the manager, and again, I took this today, the thing at the start of the season when, he got the job, he'd never managed in the Premier League, obviously did a great job at at Leicester, but we weren't really sure what was going to be at Chelsea. And the thing that was, that hit him, the stick there, everybody was hitting him with, was the amount of players in this squad and how difficult it's going to be and keeping the dressing room. And he's turned that negative into a positive, Rob. He's turned that into the most positive. Because right now, Liverpool, Manchester City, probably Arsenal to a certain degree, would all love the depth of squad and the number of players that he's got, that they can use and work in the way he's doing it. That he can play one strong team on a Saturday in the Premier League and play another strong team in the Conference League that he's doing at the moment, giving people giving people the opportunity to show him what he can do. And in a flawless way, Rob, he's got, as you said, if Pedro Neto's not playing well, Madueke will come back in. And Jadon Sancho's come in and done particularly well. So has Enzo Fernandez. But those were people who were sitting on the side, Rob, and having a look at it. And now they know the standard is if they go in the team, they've got to produce. A bit like Sir Alex used to do back in the day, or an Arsene Wenger, or maybe a Jose Mourinho. And he's taken a negative with this group and turned it into a positive where right now, mate, they're in good shape. And I know, and quite rightly, he's saying they're not in a title race. I don't think they are, but they're second in the league. And I think, was he 6 points behind?
Yeah, they are. They're in it. They're in a race right now. Yeah. No, they're absolutely in a race right now. Now, whether you believe they're going to fall away, I think most people will think they probably will, but they're in it right now. I'll tell you what, Rob, when you assess the team, right, if you match winners, right? How many match winners have Chelsea got? They got a lot of match winners. They got goals from midfield now in Enzo Fernandez. They got goals from the wide players, Jadon Sancho, Madueke, whoever plays out there can score goals from wide positions. Of course, they've got a centre forward in Nicholas Jackson that's a regular goal scorer. And they got Cole Palmer, a little number 10 playmaker that scores goals. That's really, really good.
Nkunku backed up, Felix backed up.
That's a lot of goals there, Rob. That's a lot of, and a lot, you said the big clubs and all that. I know Liverpool are, they're top dogs at the moment. And they got some good cover as well. But Arsenal haven't got as good a cover. Like and you marry that with the organised shape, the clever way they box their midfield and get an extra man in there, and those holding midfield players. That's a really well-balanced team. Let me follow on, Rob, because you're sort of saying about the squad, and if you a couple of years ago it looked chaotic. I'm going to chuck a bit of a weird one in for my underappreciated performance this weekend. That doesn't
surprise me. Weird from you, my friend. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit weird, and it's a little bit out of left field. But this thing is underappreciated. How about the Chelsea Football Club owners? Underappreciated owners of this club in this weekend, and what they're doing is Todd Bowley and his Clear Lake Capital, which is Baghdad Eghbali. He's the main guy at Clear Lake Capital, and Todd Bowley laughed out of town and had a very difficult start. Absolutely admit that. It was a shaky start from those guys. They had to get rid of all the executive group and the directors, and it was shaky at the start. Mistakes were made, but they got their CEO. They got these two directors of football, Win Stanley and Lawrence Stewart, that made some big calls on managers and on philosophies of signing all these young players on these monster-long contracts. And people are like, wow, we've never seen this before. Or doesn't it look pretty good? Doesn't it look pretty good right now? And when Chelsea is saying that we've got our football club back or we've got our Chelsea back, and I don't expect there to be a ton of credit for the owners, and I get that with them, but isn't it looking pretty good? With this, you just said the squad, how deep it is. They're young players, Rob. This is a team for a decade, which I've said before. But the owners, like in a very unusual way, they spent a load of money, but they've hired clever people. And clever people is what makes the difference. The Everton Football Club spent a lot of money. They didn't hire clever people. It's been a disaster. They've got everything after initial sticky period wrong. You get the right people with their money, like the directors, and look what they've got. So, yeah, that's what I'm chucking in.
Very weird shout, but very good shout, my friend. Almost like visionary, almost like looking at the football club in a different way than anybody's ever done before.
Yeah, and data, probably.
And what's going to be really interesting, Rob, as we know with Premier League football, as we know when Pep's come in and Sir Alex was in and Arsene was in, somebody does something well and it starts to work, other people follow. It's going to be really interesting over the next couple of years whether this becomes a model for other clubs.
Yeah, I mean, it is a model in some ways, Rob, to try and get the data young players, but Brighton and Brentford and others, they're in a different little market. This is the same data approach, but at the high end. So they're getting some of the best. And I know that there's been some friction between the two ownership groups. And I get that. So people might say, yeah, but what about obviously winning makes that sort of stuff go very, very quiet. But I think just in terms of let's just step back a minute here and just realize what they've done. And if they can, if this is the start of something big, Rob, this could be the start of something big.
Left field from Robbie Mustoe, loving it. Loving a bit of left field, mate. Yeah, good shout. Good shout. Good thought.
I enjoyed the game.
Let's see how it goes. Let's see how we go. Yeah. Big Christmas period coming up, and then we get into the new year, and then we'll see where they are.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And if you want even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.